Should. Gotta go. Which one? Rutherford?
Right? Guys swallow the drink?
Nobody. Yeah, right. No, I think.
I don't want to eat the challenge. We better got one piece. All right. You all ready?
Right, if you came to the meeting, you ran. But those, well, we do have people say they, and maybe
All right.
they know that they can have, that is fine.
I'd like to call the work. Actually, the work action meeting of the Bogota Board of Education for October 10th, 2023 to order. Everyone, please stand for the flag salute.
Of the United States of America, to the republic for which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If everyone could just stay standing for a quick meeting. I think you're aware of some major crisis going on around the world, and there's a lot of happening, so I would love to bow for a moment of silence. Thank you. The New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law was enacted to ensure right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meetings of the public bodies at which any business affecting their interests is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of this act, the Bogota Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published by having the date, time, and place thereof posted in the Bogota Borough Hall, communicated by letter to the record, filed with the clerk of the Borough of Bogota, and posted on the Bogota Board of Education website. Mr. Irfan?
Mrs. Alvarez,
Present.
Mr. Alvarez,
Present.
Mr. Chavez,
President.
Mrs. Cruz, absent, Mr. Navarro,
Present.
Mrs. Oliva,
Present.
Mr. Ortega,
President.
Ms. Racket,
Present.
Mr. Miranda.
Present.
We have the quorum.
For the record, Ms. Susan Cruz was unable to attend today. She did provide notice. Mr. Irfan. Also present are Superintendent Damian Kennedy, Board Attorney Thomas Coben, School Business Administrator and Board Secretary Irfan Efsil, and Assistant Board Secretary Elizabeth Ruiz. Before I move on to hearing of the citizens, the reason I bowed as well is, as we all know, there is war in other parts of the world and terrorism, to be honest. And it saddens me personally. As a believer that I am, I kind of see it as a different way, but I do know that we have a lot of children in our community that may know what, they're tuning in and they know what's going on. So I want to thank Mr. Damian Kennedy for putting out a notice about our services and availability of what we can offer the children of our school system. Oh, it hasn't gone out, it's going out. And our community, we have community, children in our community to serve both sides of the beliefs or religion, but also just children that overall are going to be impacted. Just to cause notice, there's a recent notice just over the last 2 hours that there's going to be an attack on social media postings that may cause a lot of questions in our children. So we have to be prepared as a board, as parents, as administrators, that if any of this does transpire, we're able to be ready to speak to the children and maybe find somehow to explain and keep them away from the social media platforms. All right. Moving on to hearing of citizens on agenda items only. Is there a motion to open the floor to hearing of citizens?
Motion.
Was that Mrs. Rocket on the motion?
Second.
And a Chavez second. Is there any board discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any member who would like to come up and speak on agenda or ask questions on agenda items only, please state your name and your street address. You have 5 minutes. We are open to the public. Mr. Kennedy, anyone here? No one online? I'm going to move to close hearing on citizens, hearing of the citizens on agenda items only. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Mr. Alvarez, Mrs. Rocket is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Mr. Kennedy, Superintendent's report.
All right, I have a couple of things. First, I want to congratulate our cross-country boys and girls team, and they recently have won their league championships. They move on to the county groups this weekend, but congrats to the boys and girls team, Coach Rockford, Coach Marone, and all the runners. Also, good luck to our high school football team. We had our annual night game last week. Friday night was a soccer game, a little bit of rain. Saturday night, we were able to get the game in. But we will be hosting a home union playoff game on Thursday night at 7 PM. We kept the lights an extra week to play that night game. So this Thursday, 7 o'clock, home playoff football game. We had 3 unfounded HIBs in the middle school. Tomorrow night, we will be hosting the Ballroom Basics Family Night. As of right now, we had over 11 families signed up. We were hoping to get a few more, but with 11 families with 3 or 4 people in each family is close to 50 people. It's a good number. And then also next week, we will be reviewing our spring NJ-SLA data. So next week, we will be going over our spring NJ-SLA data. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Kennedy. Approval of the well, not approval. Has everyone reviewed section 4.1 minutes for September 12, 2023, open and close, and for September 19th? Any questions or concerns?
Nope.
Moving on to 5, first reading of policy regulations 5.1 through 5.2. Any questions or concerns?
Nope.
Moving on to 6, which we have 12 agenda items under education, 6.1 through 6.12. Any questions or concerns? Moving on to 7, section of the agenda, which is 7.1 personnel section, 7.1 through 7.13. Any questions or concerns? We're at the finance portion of the agenda, which cover 8.1 through 8.9. Any questions or concerns? 9, buildings and grounds reading. Any questions or concerns? 10, committee reports. Any committee reports, members? Yeah.
Not me.
We met,
Oh, right.
we met the education committee and the policy committee yesterday. We met in the new location for the preschool offices and for students 18 through 21, continuing, very nice, very educational, beautiful location, and how it's been worked on and now adapted for students to take advantage, and the best that they're going to be staying in district and not having to commute and being here. So everything well.
Thank you, Mrs. Alvarez.
The negotiation committee also closed the loop with our board admin staff. And I'm happy to say, once again, we have done a great job with that. And now we are on to the administrators. And then that will conclude 2023 negotiations.
A lot of fun, right?
Woo, woohoo.
I had the opportunity as well of visiting the 18 to 21 club. It is actually, it was interesting for me. I did not know what to expect. It was actually a very home warmth night. I do have, I've learned that we're offering life skills, right? For those who need it in the future, and that is like the most ideal environment to offer life home skills, because if anyone could keep their house as clean as that, I need them to show me home life skills. That was a wonderful place. It really, I walked around 3 times, I think, Kennedy. It just really impacted me. You can see what they're trying to teach on the board, the services. There's a laundry room. So there's a lot of little things that, I have a cousin that went through a similar program. And I always wonder, why can't they, why wasn't my aunt teaching her? But I could see the necessity of something like that. So it's a very nice thing. We have people in our community that have come from that needs background, and doctors like Fitzgerald and some other people actually took that role because those services weren't a thing in the 70s and the 60s. So I can see, I appreciate it more than ever today. Just to know that kind of offering. From a financial standpoint, though, it's even more kudos to the board and the administration, because we're able to bring back some of the expenditures that went out, or in the investment in the future. And I think currently we have 3 to 4, close to $1 million over the course of 4 years, which totally pays out the lease, totally does. It's a good wash and then some. So we're making responsible moves there. I appreciate the administration for that. I do not want to forget to thank Hallie and her staff, Pontonian, for all the wonderful fruits. And more importantly, for showing up to our events, showing up to PTO events. I didn't see that before, and communicating of what we do. There's always been concern about lunches, and now you have a face and people to speak to. They're gonna attest to it. I also want to thank them for acknowledging Hispanic Heritage Month. They serve mango, they serve salami, eggs for a lot of people, tres golpes, right? So they served a lot of different Hispanic heritage dishes. I don't know if people speak on that, but that's wonderful, right? So they've integrated. It was a wonderful thing. I know my son came home like just talking about everything he ate throughout this Hispanic Heritage Month. We have a few days left, but it was a wonderful thing. Thank you, BC, for managing negotiations. I heard the central office staff was very proud, very happy. Thank you, Idalia and Susan, for doing your thing on the educational side of things and policy. I want to give you guys some good news. So we presented, some of you knew we presented to the mayor and council. They voted on a resolution for us to move forward. So our fields are actually a real thing. Our attorney is working through all the intricacies of coming up with an agreement. So they're discussing that out. That's that. Kennedy and I hit the fields yesterday at around 10 a.m. with the architects to come up with an explanation of the game plan. There's people came up at the council meeting and some here to discuss the trees. And it's interesting because more than half of the tree, I think every tree we have to take down, with the exception of maybe 4, are dead. They're struggling. Branches are ripped. There's no growth to them. The growth that people think they're seeing are actual the weeds and the poison ivy, whatever you call those wraparound things. So a lot of those trees, we saw that, right, Kennedy? We took a lot of pictures on that. One of the greatest things that I saw is that the field, the baseball field is going to come in a little bit from, it depends where you're standing, but if you're standing from River Road, that left field, some of you call it the softball field.
Mhm.
So that's going to come in. This is some of you call it because I don't know what it was, but I played both. So it's going to come in. Track is going to be new. Because of that, you have to take some trees down because they're in the foul line of the baseball perimeter. But something we don't have there right now that no one discussed, the plus, there isn't like a warm-up pitching or batting cage kind of platform there today. There's going to be one in that move up. So that was a beautiful thing because I didn't, as much as I looked at the plans, I never really, and Jose, you pointed it out last time. I thought you meant it existed.
No.
And I did say, Kennedy, Jose bragged about this and I thought he said it existed. No, so it is actually going to be a new thing. So it's a plus that we've given, when people talk about what, this is not just a Board of Ed discussion, this is a whole discussion. And we're giving back the town something they didn't have, they're giving them more, remember, adding, we're contributing. So it's a great deal. I want to let you know that we're moving forward, it looks like we should be on track. Hopefully the DEP, the DOE, doesn't delay it, but we should be going out to bid January, February, so we seem to be right on tune. I can tell you, it's a beautiful thing, it definitely excites everyone. And that's it for me. Moving on to old business, any old business? Any new business? We have no executive session this evening, so that's it, right?
Hearing of the public.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't have that here. May I have a motion to move to hearing of the public on anything?
John?
Mr. Ortega, do I have a second?
Alvarez.
Mr. Alvarez, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, any member of the public, please state your name, your street address. You have 4 minutes. 5 minutes. Welcome, Ansel.
You need the microphone.
I don't think she needs a mic.
It's
because it's for the people
For the people at home. No,
Antoinette Rivera, 98 Kino Road.
Yes.
yes.
I'm going to mention the fields because the reason I came is because my son plays soccer. And I was at the field today and it's a disaster. What happened? I mean, it's not where they're playing. We have a game tomorrow, but it is ripped apart.
Mhm.
And I don't know if it's from those lights, like now that you're saying there were lights, but this is really crazy. What happened?
You said it. It was the lights.
So,
Were you down there today?
yes.
So did you see that they filled in all the holes already?
They're great.
No, I could score today for the first time.
So,
and I saw a portion of-
so obviously with all the rain, right, the fields got very wet, so when the lights had to be moved, one of the trucks got stuck and created some divots. Our field crew was there today and replaced all the divots and put more grass seed down. Obviously, they will be getting all torn up in 4 months. It's not on the soccer field at all, it's actually closer to the fence, so unfortunately, it wasn't something that we can foresee. It's something that we do every year with the lights. So if we want a night game, soccer parents always wanted a night game. We have to put lights up. So unfortunately, when it rains, those fields get very wet, as we know. So we had a little hiccup. But we also have a landscaping company to look at too, to make sure that what we did was good enough. And if not, they were gonna pick up the slack. So as I said, as Mr. Miranda said earlier, we went down there yesterday personally and looked at it and met with buildings and our grounds crew to make sure that we fix it because we knew that they made a mistake.
That's what I didn't know, because I went today, and then all of a sudden I was like, oh, and then I didn't, from where I was, I could see if it was where they're playing, I see it's inside, so it's a truck, so they're gonna be responsible for it, or? this is going-
We're responsible for it.
We moved the lights.
We moved the lights.
Oh, okay, okay.
The good thing
Hey,
is,
it's an outside.
yeah,
No, the lights were dropped off by the outside company, but we had to move the lights. So when we moved them,
there's been a lot of rain, so it looks like that area, for some reason, it was still, when we went yesterday, as you still stepped on it, it was moist. So to your point, the benefit of us helping the town out is we're gonna elevate that a bit and get it away from such a spongy park that it is right now, in a few months.
Is the plant turf or grass?
Grass, for those purposes,
that,
exactly.
Right. for that.
the high school and the middle school soccer, though, I imagine they'll be able to play on the turf fields for soccer
Yeah.
because we will have lights.
We're looking to open it up.
So so in other words, the baseball and softball field will still provide soccer space for the rec programs as well as our field as well, but for our team specifically, like, we won't ever have to put lights there anymore because we'll have them on our fields. So hopefully this was the last time that we bring lights in ever again.
Yeah, I didn't talk about that, but we spoke about the elevation. We spoke about the man-made. This weird man-made, I mean. What do they call it?
trench.
Trench? What is it?
Like a water basin.
It's
Mhm.
something like that. It's not a basin. That's what I'm asking.
Catch-
That's what I
catch,
thought it would
yeah.
be. I'm wondering. So just so you guys know, real quick, because they're gonna ask you a lot of these questions after, I knew this was gonna come up, I just didn't even write it down, but. It's pretty weird the way they made this, it goes around 2 trees, those trees has gotta come down. If we're gonna commit to our word about taking the fence down, make it an open complex. One of the discussions we were having, I said, how do we make a real catch base where people could just walk over? So maybe it's gonna be like small bridges where people can actually walk over to the football field. It is gonna look as a dip down, right? But they're both gonna come up higher. I think one is like a foot and change in the elevation, the other one's 2 and something in elevation, just so you have an idea. But that's the reason. It's like a ditch right now. I didn't even know that, right? As many times I run there, it's a ditch, and the track will be brand new too, right? So the walking path, as they call it, be brand new. So there's a lot of things in a few months that's gonna look totally different. There's irrigation, there's drainage, so it should improve those happenings, because I think you guys recall the Board of Ed did it once to the other side. To the little, so yeah, we saw it. It definitely broke our hearts. I said, oh my God, this is not to come up now. But what can you do? It happened. They said they were gonna fill it in, they were gonna grade it out with the John Deere, and then they were gonna reseed it for now, right? Because why spend the taxpayers, $20,000 if you're gonna break it up anyway?
I'm not sure if it's been asked before, but are there any expectations for the 24 fall season to not be played in our home stadiums?
They said they should be done by September of 24.
We're expected to be
We're expected
opening
to
up
play
September.
September,
Okay.
ground
So
open
every-
is September
every sport,
24.
Including soccer, which is great. We'll be able to do night games. We'll have the lights. It's gonna be
So
gonna be a great-
in all
And
transparency,
for our 24 baseball season next year, are we expecting to not be there? And for our current 24, that's in June, I'm sorry, in May.
It's
May.
May.
We're gonna be like now going away games,
we
stuff
may
like
have
that?
to do
Well,
that.
across the
Yeah.
street.
Or it might be across.
We
the
might,
street.
that's a
we
good
might
point,
go
Mr.
across
Be
the
across the
street.
street.
No, they don't fit there, but maybe we could speak to Hackensack about the.
Well,
park right over.
we know, but you gotta remember, we are co-oping with,
Shadowbrooks?
no, Park Ridge.
Oh,
I mean,
Richfield
Richfield Park.
That's true.
So we might have to,
I'll have
that's
the
gonna all be
answer.
worked out and detailed.
Okay. So that you all know. So do I have a motion to adjourn now? Well, I have a motion to
Anybody-
close citizens remarks.
anybody on?
Motion.
Alvarez,
Motion Alvarez, anyone online? Do I have a
Oh, wait,
second?
someone's, Susan Harper.
Okay,
Wait, she lowered her hand.
Susan Harper,
Susan, do you want to talk? You just gotta raise your hand again. Oh, there it is.
hi Susan.
Susan?
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Great, wonderful. So thank you so much for your time today. I wanted to speak up, just you happen to talk about life skills. One thing that I think that the school needs to work on, I don't know if you even have a program like this, is to do training for kids with respect to cyber attacks, phishing, spear phishing. Most companies require that. This isn't something that people should have to wait until their kids get into a company to learn. If you click a link, you can impact the integrity of your computers, of your phone, of your finances, become, a victim of ransomware, and lots of other bad things that happen. I would like to really encourage this district to look into something like that. The other thing I wanted to also mention was a couple of different items. First, I know that the school is looking at the turf versus grass field. There's a report that just came out from the Associated Press on this subject matter, and they talked about the impact on players' use of grass versus turf and the number of injuries that have occurred on both. So I would recommend taking a look at that because our kids are not immune to getting hurt. The other thing I would like to just address too is the issue of the park and the trees. As some of you know, I am feel very strongly about this subject matter. I live directly behind the park, the baseball field. It was represented that you would be trying to save some of these trees. Now, Frank, Mr. Miranda, you have now just said all of the trees would be cut. All of the trees would be cut. I am just so horrified to hear this. I saw you down there the other day with Mr. Connors taking lots of photos. I disagree with you 100% that the trees are dead because I see them come alive every single year. I have lots of photos and videos from throughout the year from my time enjoying myself in the park with others. So I also think that you're not thinking about the residents who are here and the impact of some of your decisions. So for examples, light that hits our homes. Right now, we have light that constantly hits our home. You're not seeing that because you're not there. What you see down there is, or what you're thinking about terms is very transactional, is that we're going to do this and, oh, isn't this an improvement? And I'm not saying that all these things that you're doing on the football side are improvements. It's wonderful. Okay. But I think that just totally wholesaling, removing mature old trees is not a good decision. And I don't think that's a good example for the kids in the town either. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Harper. Anyone else? No, I'll answer it.
I want to respond about the cybersecurity. So that was one of the career technical classrooms that we want to get started when we open the career technical is cybersecurity, because that is a very big field that will be opening up. But I will say that our tech department is second to none, and our backups and our trainings for our staff. I will be checking to see, but when the kids are on our server and our Wi-Fi, they are very protected in the building. So that's something that we have addressed, but I will double check that if they're getting the proper trainings too, because I know emails have been sent out to everyone regarding cybersecurity every month.
Thank you, Kennedy. Just for clarity, Mrs. Harper, the reason we went down there was to find a plan of a nice plan of action or a proper plan of action for replanting trees. The trees, when I said all the trees, I said all the trees necessary within the foul lines, the fields. There's a lot of trees there that are dead. Since you saw me take pictures, I did that. I thought about blowing them up for a moment like this, but unfortunately I wasn't that prepared. But it was to show that there are trees dead, is to show that we have to remove trees. But just so you know, we are planting more trees. However, and the lights discussion is something that we are taking up next to make sure that residents aren't impacted on River Road. So it's not that we're not doing, we're discussing and we're learning every day a bit more. I also know that in talking to many people, they want to see these fields go up and they want to see these parks. There's a lot of people asking the questions. So in the interim of trying to appease everybody, at the same time, it's not a wholesale, it's a moving forward mentality. And at least that's how I see it. I don't know the opinion of the board, but the reason we're down there is to investigate more of the concerns, to see how we can somehow meet at the middle and satisfy the needs of the people who want it and the people who have some concerns. You're not saying you don't want it, you're saying you have some concerns. So we're trying to address all those concerns in one as we move forward. All right, that's all for me. Anyone else? Do we have a motion to adjourn? Can I get a second?
Back up and close.
Oh, I thought I closed it. May I close hearing on citizens' remarks?
Yeah.
Albert, motion, Mr. Navarro,
Yes.
second, Mr. Alvarez, all in favor?
Aye.
Any discussion? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Alvarez.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. Have a good evening.